Hey guys, so this is a continuation of I posted a video at 8 p.m. Now, this is the one where at the end of the last video, I said that there are a lot of people asking, can your money go to zero? Can you lose everything when you go into the stock market? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as of right now, at the start of the video, comment below if you believe your money can go to zero, that you can lose everything in the stock market. Is that possible? I want to break a lot of misconceptions about investing in the stock market. And please do know this before I continue. People say the stock market is risky, especially in from a Filipino context, because primarily as a Filipino, it's normal for us just to be invested in savings accounts, time deposits, real estate, and at least now it's starting to grow. More and more people are putting money into funds. More and more people are putting money and starting investing in the stock market. But guys, please do note this. These aren't the only areas where you could put your money. When you go outside the Philippines, there are larger markets, there are larger assets, from CFDs to REITs to ETFs to commodities, to buying other indices as well, to the forex market, to cryptocurrencies. So a lot of them, majority of the ones that I mentioned, most of them are more volatile, most of them are riskier, most of them place a greater amount of uh, risk and volatility to the stocks or to the money that you are placing there. So when people say that the stock market is so risky, it's not actually true, because it's true that it's riskier than time deposits, but compared to other investments out there, the stock market isn't as risky. So now let's go back to the question that you guys sent. Can your money go to zero when you invested in the stock market? And if you look at some charts, no, there were some times actually when people were saying, I might lose everything. What if the company closes down, and what if something happens that it goes to zero? If you notice this, that happened when Manila Water started going down last year. There were a lot of questions that, will it go to zero? Will it start to close down? Now that also happened for Jollibee, because it came from 300 pesos, especially when it was going down, no, from 300 all the way to 90. People were saying also, nako, will Jollibee also close down? Will it go to zero? Will it get delisted? Now, let me break down all of the questions. Number one, uh, it does not mean that the company is dropping in stock price that it will be delisted. Please remember that very, very well. I repeat, it does not mean that the stock price is going down, that the company will be delisted. There are a lot of stocks that have gone down massively. Surpass is also one of them. That if you notice, Surpass, it came from close to 20 pesos per share to where it is right now. So being delisted is a byproduct of a couple of things. Number one, the company itself would want to voluntarily delist, meaning they really want to be out of the stock market. They really want to go private already. They want to buy back all of the shares that are in the market. So that's one way for companies to delist. But if you notice it also, if they start buying back the shares, it means that you have an exit mechanism to be able to sell your shares. Meaning, whatever the price is, whatever the tender offer is, you will get your money swapped for the shares that you own. So, if that's the case, a voluntary delisting, then the company also won't be delisted. It won't go to zero. Another thing that I'd like to note is also this. Uh, if a company, another way is, there are some rules that the PSE would create, and those rules are there to protect the company, the brokerages, investors, and everyone else that participates in the Philippine Stock Exchange. If those rules are not met, certain conditions like delisting is also possible. So similar to what happened to Kalata, they violated some rules there. They got delisted. But in certain aspects also, there were some stocks that got delisted because they did not meet the number of float. So things like that. There are certain rules that the PSE would set that would protect people. That companies need to follow. If not, they would be delisted. So again, let me reiterate: it does not mean that the stock market, the stock or whatever company you're watching is going down. It doesn't mean that it's gonna get delisted already. Number two, uh, what if the company would close down? Okay? What if the company would close down? Please remember this. When you invest in the stock market, you are buying shares of corporations. You are getting a piece, you are getting a stake in the company. It's not like buying a derivative, that when you buy a derivative, you don't own anything. You just own a piece of paper that says that whatever happens to whatever asset that I'm tracking, regardless if it's a commodity, regardless if it's stocks, regardless if it's uh, cryptocurrencies, whatever happens to it, I'm gonna follow the fluctuations. And if it goes up, I make money off of it. If it goes down, and I short, I also make money off of it. So you don't own the particular asset, but you just own the piece of paper that says that you have the right to claim and earn with by certain fluctuations that would happen in the stock. I hope that you got that. No, derivatives are always more complicated, but you can just check my older videos where I talked about derivatives. But essentially, in derivatives, I'll make it as clear already as now. When you invest in derivatives, anytime that you're not investing in something that has an underlying asset attached to it, there's a big chance that your money will go to zero. However, if you're investing in stocks and then the company closes down, or the only way for them to actually close down is basically they file for bankruptcy, meaning uh, if the company is losing money 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but you have to remember on the previous years where they were operating, the company had cash, meaning they could probably absorb the losses that they were getting in the previous years as long as their debt isn't so big and they can still take care of their debt that they don't need to file for bankruptcy. So the company will still continue to operate. The company will still be, as long as they can also pay the salaries of the people working for them. So the companies will still continue to run. The company will still continue to progress. So it does not mean that they're losing money on a certain year, on a certain period. It does not mean that the company will delist and you won't get anything. Now, to the more extreme side, that the company will close down, it means that most likely they don't have enough to be able to pay for their debts. Now, as you all know, every time you don't have money to pay for your debts, the company that you invested in still has, all intents and purposes, assets. And they could liquidate that asset so that those assets are something that they could somehow no swap into cash so that people that the company owes gets paid. So the hierarchy is, of course, there are people that they need to immediately pay first. So, yung mga pinagkautangan nila na salaries and other people that they immediately need to pay, first proceeds will also go to them. Then there are people that they owe money to, meaning the loans that they had. So after selling it also, everything will go there. Then lastly, it goes to the shareholders. So there's a big chance also that when all of the debts are paid for, there's a very very small amount that will be left depending on the company. I don't, it has to be on a case to case basis how we will see how the companies would how much is left from the assets after they sell everything. But there are some cases now there's nothing much left. There are some cases also that there will be some that are left, and whatever's left, the remaining shareholders will have a piece of whatever's left, and it may not be as much. So there's an expectation that you might get lesser. So that's the narrative. No, when a company goes bankrupt, that from the assets, you get a portion of it, but you will always be last because you're a shareholder. That's why if you watch the videos that I've been making, please always do your research in the companies that you're buying. Please always follow the things that I've been mentioning about fundamental analysis, because if you're buying a fundamentally sound company, you're buying a good company that's growing, that has dividends, that's liquid, that has enough cash, that has debt, but their debt is well managed. They'll be able to weather tough times, and they won't close down easily. They will have a certain buffer to protect them. That as a shareholder, you have not naman an assurance, but at least there's a expectation that they won't go underwater and your investment will be safe. Now, another way is actually this. What if you buy a stock at 20 pesos and it goes similar to this example of Surpass, that from 20 pesos, you see it here close to somewhere close to 20, it started to drop massively to where it is today, where it's below 1 peso. your money still isn't zero, because even if you bought at 20, for example, you had one share, your one share at 20 peso would have been worth still around 67 centavos. So close to zero, but not zero. Now, let's continue. If you do not sell your position, meaning you have, say, 1,000 shares, you are still a shareholder of that company with 1,000 shares. But the trick there also is this, and please remember that when a stock is from 20 pesos, it goes to 60 centavos, it will take a harder time for it also to go back up. There must be something fundamentally amazing, news driven, macroeconomically sound that will cause people to buy it and that it will go back to 20 pesos. There must be something that there must either be a merger acquisition or someone's willing to buy them close to 20 pesos, and that could be an underlying principle or thing that would cause the stock to go higher, go back to 20. So meaning also, if a stock drops from 20 to below 1 peso, everything has a chance to go up, but on the likelihood that it will happen very very soon, I don't think so. I think it will, there must be something really 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 significant that would cause it to go back up. So meaning, if you bought and you sold, you will lose money, but it won't go to zero. That being said also, if you hold, you still have those 1,000 shares, 10,000 shares, 100,000 shares. But the value of it when you decide to sell later on, whatever the price is, and it's still lower from the price of acquisition, you will still get a loss. But it's still not going to zero. Now, what if you're trading naman and you would always cut loss? Meaning, you buy a stock at 10, it goes to 5, you cut loss. Or it's not, let's be very, very practical. You buy a stock at 10, goes to 9.5, you cut, you lose 5%. If you do that over and 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 over, it will for sure significantly reduce your capital. Meaning, it can go from 100,000 to something that's very, very low. It can go to 10,000, it can go to 5,000, it can even go to 2,500, especially if you make a lot of mistakes on your trading and you just keep on cutting. And especially if you cut big, then transfer it, and the stock that you've transferred it to starts to go down again, then you cut it, you will see your capital be significantly reduced. So, to be honest, that happens. It could reduce your capital, but it won't bring it to zero. Again, as long as you sell, you will always still have a portion of that capital, no matter how small it is. It could be close to zero, but not quite at zero. Now, what are the scenarios where your stock could go to zero? Number one is if you borrow money, you have margins attached to it. Meaning, the thing about that, when you start borrowing and you have margins, if the loss is already bigger than the amount that you've placed in, then you get stopped out. Then you lose everything. That's one way. Another way for you to lose is if you leverage, meaning you that's more prevalent also for other derivative based investments, but when, or even for forex, but when you leverage, you're putting a smaller amount of money and having a bigger exposure that you're banking on, that if the volatility is correct, you will also earn more. The problem with that is, if it goes the other direction, you could also lose everything. Third one is shorting. But when you short, it's similar to you also borrowing, where you pay a certain amount of interest. And if it drags on too long already, the interest also might eat into your capital, and hence you can also lose everything. So those are some scenarios, no, that you get to lose money when you start investing in the stock market. But under the current conditions, if you notice it, if it's all via debt, it's all via leverage. That's why I've been always saying this, and I've been harping this all the time. As long as you're putting in your own money, you're not borrowing, you're not putting it on margins, you're supposed to be okay. As long as also you're not shorting, you're supposed to be okay also. And that's why I've been saying it over and over now. You don't have to rush things, eh. The only time you start making mistakes, the only time you become less aggressive also, is when you try to rush things. But if you're using your own money, investing organically, you are not leveraging, you're just putting an amount of money that you can actually afford to lose, then by all means you can be as aggressive and you can be as offensive as you want in your trades. So there, and there's no chance that your stocks will go to zero. So I think I covered a lot already. Meaning company closure, the listing, stock price going down, then all the way to leverage, margins, borrowing, shorting as well. But those are some scenarios, and those are some of the questions that have been asked. But just to summarize, your money won't go to zero just because the stock price would go down. Your money won't go to zero just because also the company started to go bankrupt or started to get delisted. But there's a big chance. There's a big chance it may not be ultimately zero. It could be close to zero. It may reduce your capital. That's why please remember when it comes to investing and trading the markets, it's all about risk management. If you're trading and your areas to sell have been hit, sell. If you're investing and you see the fundamentals of the company that you're watching start to change, regardless if you are at a loss, you also have to sell. So we are at the 16-minute mark. I hope you guys got a lot. Comment below if you're learning. Comment I'm learning. If I'm learning, I would super appreciate it. I like to have sana some feedback also from you guys if you guys are getting things from podcast style videos like this where I just manipulate the charts and I just talk to you. If you do, I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you guys have questions on this, leave them on the comment section. Hashtag Ask Marvin. Then, if you have any other stocks that you guys want me to analyze, just put them also in the comment section. Put hashtag stocks by request. And if this is something that's benefited you, would super appreciate it if you could press the like, thumbs up button, as it allows the YouTube algorithm to show this more to more and more Filipinos that are interested in the stock market. And that's one of the reasons why I keep doing videos like this, because I just really want to change the narrative for Filipinos to be able to trade the markets with confidence. And two things, I have now two channels. Number one is this channel where you're watching this. This is my main channel. This is where all of the stock market, all of the stock trading, stock investing, fundamental, macroeconomics, all of the analysis will be. My second channel will all be about entrepreneurship because I'm also an entrepreneur. Will also be about investing in other asset classes because I'm also investing in other asset classes. It will also talk about hustle, grit. It will also talk about how to be financially free. All of the other things that are not covered in this channel will be in that channel. It's called Marvin Germo Podcast. The link is in the description. I hope you guys can also support that and subscribe. It's only 1,700 subscribers up until now, and I appreciate all your help. In that channel, we're gonna interview more and more people too. Then, my books via Shopee are available already. You can just click the link below, and Shopee will deliver already to other. I think they're back to normal already. They're already covering a lot of the other cities that used to not be available before. But if your area is not covered by Shopee, there's a link beside it where you can just click that, and there's special options there where they can deliver to wherever you are in the world. Then I'm in the process of writing an ebook. Comment below if you want me to continue writing an ebook. Comment the topics that you want me to put in for the ebook as well. And aside from writing the ebook, two online courses, one with Chinkitan, Stock Market Basics, Stock Market for Everyone, link is in the description. And also, Make Money, Grow Money with Sean C. It's also about the stock market, stock investing, stock trading, business, entrepreneurship. Link is also in the description. If you want to sharpen your skills in trading, you can join that. So there. I hope that this video dispelled a lot of the false notions about the stock market. That at the end of the day, information, knowledge is there to dispel any fear. Keep on learning because in with the absence of information, fear becomes present, speculation becomes present, relying on other information, other sources that are not legit becomes present. So again, I'll say this over and over, no one will take care of your money more than you. That's why it has to be you who needs to hustle. It has to be you who needs to take the time to be able to build your skill right here, right now. So I hope you guys got a lot from this. Till tomorrow, I hope you guys get to rest, study your charts, build your information, use this lockdown to be able to reach your goals, reach your dreams of financial freedom because it can be done. It's never too late. Keep on hustling, keep on working, keep on studying, keep on enhancing yourself because I really want you guys to win. And that's it for now. This is Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.